Hey everyone, MilkMan234 here, and welcome to another episode of Forgotten Media, where I dig up some stuff you may or may not have heard of. You'd think like a series like Pac-Man wouldn't have that many cancelled games, because it's Pac-Man. One of the most well-known arcade classics and an iconic game character that has survived over the years and has gone through many changes, from minor updates on his design to a change in gameplay from arcade classics to action-adventure up to party games. Even with a successful series like Pac-Man, there will always be games that could have been part of its history but never made it. So today we'll be taking a look at some cancelled Pac-Man games. First up is Pac-Man Ghosts Zone, Namco's first attempt in bringing Pac-Man to the world of 3D platform gaming that was developed for the PlayStation in 1996. The story involves a kid wanting to play the hottest new arcade game, but the crowd is too big, so he goes off to play the Pac-Man arcade game. Inside the arcade are the ghosts from the game, led by the evil Ghost Lord. Using their new weapon, they suck the kid into the game, and I guess he becomes Pac-Man, and must find a way back home and defeat the Ghost Lord. The game would involve you fighting baddies, collecting pellets, power-ups, and items, as well as exploring the worlds in all of its 3D platforming glory. There were some advertisements for the game, and it was even shown at E3 1997, but in the end it was cancelled. Namco wasn't that pleased on how the game was coming along, not to mention the opening cutscene flat out insults the Pac-Man arcade game.
Pac-Man? Is this old thing even still here? Nobody ever plays it. No 3D, no fighting, no blood. Where's the fire button? This is so lame. This game's for my grandma. That stupid old game. You stink.
Yeah, apparently this is how kids would react to Pac-Man back in the 90s. The game is kind of interesting, but not much. It looks like this could have been a game that would have had those tank-style controls. You know, use one analog to move forward and the other one to turn around. Not a good idea for a 3D platforming game. After its cancellation, the team working on the game was fired, except for 3 members, and they had to start from scratch. Eventually, we got Pac-Man World, which was a fun game, probably even a lot better than what Ghost Zone was gonna be. Next up is Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness 2, the sequel to Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness. It was being developed by TKO Software in 2005 and was planned to be released for the GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2. Not much is known about this game. Looks like there wasn't that much new things added in. It just looks like the first game with some updated graphics. Apparently the game was cancelled because of the saturated market of the genre, so it sounds like even if the game was finished and released, it wouldn't sell that well. Next is Pac-Man Adventures, a game that was going to be developed by Built Games, and surprisingly, Don Bluth was helping out on designing the game. Yeah, imagine that, Don Bluth creating a Pac-Man game. Not much is known about this game. All that remains is a handful of concept art of creatures that might have been featured in the game. Even the character from Dig Dug was going to be featured. My only guess as to why this game was cancelled was that Namco felt the game was just too strange and bizarre. In fact, the game reminds me a lot of Crash Bandicoot Evolution, another cancelled game that had a very strange, otherworldly quality to it. Some ideas from the game were later reworked into Pac-Man World 3, but I still would like to see how Adventures could have been. Next up, Super Pac-Man Pinball, the sequel to Pac-Man Pinball Advance, that was being developed by Zen Studios and was planned to be released for the Nintendo DS. And that's it. No other information on this game has surfaced. I guess the reason why it was cancelled was because of how Pinball Advance didn't do that well. It had mixed reviews, but it's a pinball game. There's really not much you can do with that. And finally, we have Pac-Man Carnival, a party game that was planned to be released for the Nintendo Wii. And then it was cancelled. And then it was replaced by Pac-Man Party. And that's it. It's a bit embarrassing that I can barely find any info on these last 2 topics. In fact, it sounds like Carnival wasn't really its own game. It sounds more like an alternate title for Pac-Man Party. But there you go, Pac-Man Carnival. Cancelled game. And that's it. So there you have it. That covers all of the cancelled Pac-Man games. There weren't that many of them, unlike the other franchises that I've covered. If this list was less than 5, then I would have featured this on Mixed Batch. And who knows what the future holds for Pac-Man. Whether it be making more games that are like the arcade classics with twists added in, or continuing on with that Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventure series. A series that I don't know much about. Yeah, I'm that behind on the time with TV shows nowadays. Well, that wraps up this episode of Forgotten Media. This is Melting Man 234 signing out. Melting Man 234 here, and welcome to another Forgotten Media episode. Hey everyone, Melting Man 234 here, and welcome to another Forgotten. I was about to do it again. Whether it be making games that are like the arcade classics but with twists added in, there weren't that many of them, unlike the other franchises. There weren't that many of them, unlike the other franchises that I covered. Forgot the line.